And this is Start Paladin 111 today, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else in between, bringing you another Hearthstone beta arena. Now, I have received some feedback from my friend Mr. Gorgeous, who is on Skype currently, but you can't hear him. I think it's best it stays that way. He said it would be better if I took things slower and did more of an explanation as to why I did not like these things and what each ability of each different card was. And I have taken this advice on board, and I think it's a good shout. So, Mr. Jamie, I am presented with 3 classes to pick from today. The Hunter, the Druid, and the Shaman. Which of these do you think I should take through the arena today? Druid it is. Cool. Let's go Druid. Okay, so our first choices are between Questing Adventurer, Savagery, and Nourish. So, Questing Adventurer, as you can see, is a 3 mana 2/2 creature. And whenever I play a card, it gains +1/+1 permanently. Now, this is a very strong card, as if you play many other cheaper cards rapidly alongside it in the late game, or it can grow very quickly and become a very big target. Equally, if you play it early game, if you want to just draw out some of their removal. However, the reason I might not take it is simply the fact that 1 silence, and it's just stuck as a 2/2, as silence removes all card text from each card. So it becomes more of a, how long is this going to last? It can finish games in seconds, but this is a personal preference. Next we have Savagery, which is a 1 mana spell. It deals damage equal to your hero's attack to a minion. Now, we're not going to take this, simply because this is great for removal. You don't hit your face into the creature, so you're not taking the damage. However, the biggest downside being that you have to buff up your attack, and the only guaranteed way of doing that is getting the guaranteed 1 from the Druid's hero power, and then potentially doing other things such as Bite or Claw, and I don't like having to do 2 or 3 cards into a combo. So we're going to be taking Nourish, which is 5 mana, but it gives us the choice of getting 2 mana crystals, which accelerates us horribly, so it gives us a big mana advantage, or we draw 3 cards, so late game it's brilliant. And if we get things like Innovate, we can do this much earlier. So if you get a couple of Innovates, you can do this as early as turn 1 if you really wanted to. So then you're at 3 mana and then at turn 2. So we're going to take Nourish. Next we have Nightblade. Nightblade is 5 mana and gives you a 4/4. It has a battle cry ability, and as that says, does something when you play it from your hand. This is referred to in other areas as an enter the battlefield effect. So it enters play and it will deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. Now, this isn't widely taken too much, as it's a little overcosted and it is just a 4/4 body. And 4/4 below is, 4 health, sorry, is an okay number, but it's very easy to get rid of. Dread Corsair is not going to happen. It's an overcosted bear, because it's a 3/3 for taunt, with taunt, which means that enemy minions must attack it before your others, so it's a good protection wall. However, it's 4 mana, which is 1 more than normal, but it does have the ability that it costs 1 less per attack of your weapon. Now, Druids don't have weapons, so it's useless. Then we have Power of the Wild, 2 mana, and when you play it, you choose one. All your minions get +1/+1 permanently, or you get a 3/2 Panther. I love the flexibility of it, so we're going to take Power of the Wild. Now, 6 mana for a 6/5 with Taunt. Perfectly fine, except it's quite easy to trade for. 4 mana, Silver Moon Guardian, a 3/3 with Divine Shield. I like, because Divine Shield basically gives it a small bubble, and the first time it will take damage, you instead ignore that damage, which is brilliant. However, when presented with a Chill Wind Jetty, which is pretty much epitome of a perfectly costed card, it's 4 mana for a 4/5. It's plain card text, but it's just a brilliant basic creature. So we're going to take that. Right, next up we have Starfire, which is 6 mana. You do 5 damage to a player or a creature, and it replaces itself by drawing a card. This is a pretty strong removal. Wisp is 0 mana for a 1/1. People don't like it very much in this because there's not a great deal to do with it. Normally I take the Starfire, but when we're presented with a Shenjin Shieldmaster, 4 mana for a 3/5 with Taunt. Now, 3/5 is a really nice early game awkward number to deal with when people have to hit it. Or 5 mana, for example, turn 4, if I drop this, my opponent can't do things like Starfire in return. They have to waste, for example, a mage would have to Fireball it or Polymorph it. It draws out spells, or it's a nice big wall. So we're going to take the Shieldmaster. Okay, a 1 cost 2/1 is... The only problem is it dies too quickly. It has no charge, has no card text, so it can't do too much. More often than not, it will die before it gets to trade well. Yeah, it doesn't trade very well. Next we have the Priestess of Elune. 6 mana for a 5/4 that when she enters restores 4 health. Now, not many people like this because it's a little overcosted. I don't mind it because the 4 health is a big thing. But we are presented with Wild Growth, which is 2 mana, and we gain an empty mana crystal. So basically, you use it. You can't use it that turn, the extra mana, but you do accelerate. So we're going to go for a Wild Growth. Oh, this is... Oh, my. Okay, so... I do apologise. We have for 3 mana a Mark of Nature. When we play this spell, we choose one. We give a minion +4 attack, or +4 health and taunt. That's very good. It means they're guaranteed to have at least 5 health. They have to hit it. Now, one reason I might not take this is just because you're then spending 2 cards, because you've got to remember, you have the original creature, but then you also play this spell on top. You're normally going to be spending 2 cards to do a thing. So whilst you may possibly even triple trade, that creature might take down 3 others. It's also, there's a chance they might polymorph it, they might mind control it, but the flexibility is nice. Fairy Dragon is amazing. 2 mana, and it's a 3/2 that can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So it's perfect for it. Really good against mages and priests because it ignores their direct removal. It's weak to their early game AoE, but it's still a very strong creature. Now I think I'm going to take the Dark Iron Dwarf because it's 4 mana for a 4/4. That's just standard. That's brilliant costing. But also when it comes in, it can give a minion +2 attack permanently. It's a lovely buff to go with some of the nicer creatures we've got so far. That's just mean. Oh, children. I don't know. Frostwolf Warlord. 5 mana for a 4/4. Yeah, compared to obviously some of the others, a little bit overcosting that, but it's Battle Cry is where it comes in. For every other minion we have, it gets +1/+1 permanently. Brilliant card. Soul of the Forest. 4 mana, and it gives all of your minions Death Rattle. And Death Rattle is essentially, they do stuff when they die. And basically, when they die, they give you a 2/2 creature per creature that died. Which is brilliant. Really good. But then we have Swipe, which deals 4 damage to either an enemy, all the enemy's creatures, and then 1 damage to everything else. Now we're going to take a Swipe, because while these are good, I'm a bit paranoid about things like that you can't target. Things in stealth, or things like the Fairy Dragon. So we're going to take Swipe. Now, I mentioned the Questing Adventure earlier, so I will probably ignore that. Ravenholt Assassin is a 7 mana, 7/5 with Stealth. Now, normally this wouldn't be a great combination, like you'd rather just get a Core Hound, but it has Stealth, which basically means until it attacks, it can't be attacked by other creatures, and it can't be damaged. So it's really good, it's a good threat, you throw it out there, they have to play around it. It forces their hand. But I'm going to go for the Azure Drake. Because for 5 mana for a 4/4, it gives +1 spell damage, which means any spell cards, such as, for example, if we look here at the Swipe, instead of dealing 4 damage and 1 to all other, it will deal 5 and 2 to all others, which is very strong. And it draws me a card. So, Azure Drake. Ooh, another rare. Okay, so Mana Addict I will not be taking, because it's 2 mana for a 1/3, that whenever you cast a spell gains +2 attack, but the downside is it's this turn. So that attack is not permanent. So, Imp Master is nice. 3 mana for a 1/5, and every turn it deals the damage to itself, and I get a 1/1 Imp. Really good if you combine it with things like Power of the Wild. But then we have Starfall. For 5 mana, we deal 5 damage to a minion, or 2 damage to all of their minions. Lovely AoE removal. Really strong. We haven't got any 3 costs, though, so we'll take the Imp Master. Oh, and a 3rd one in a row. Okay. This, I'm not taking. 1 mana for a 1/2 that removes durability from your opponent's weapon. It's better in Constructed, but even then I don't see it much because it's very specific, very niche. Alarma Bot's nice. 3 mana for a 0/3, and at the beginning of each turn, it basically flings itself back into my hand and flings one of my other minions out. But the only problem is getting it hot. Not even a third of the way through the draft is it. I don't have any overly costly creatures like some legendaries or anything like that I'd want it to fling out. I can't guarantee I'll get any. And equally, a lot of the cards we have battle cries, and this ignores battle cries. Planet-sized Partner, Planet-sized Summoner, I apologise. 2 mana for a 2/2 is nice, and the first minion every turn I play costs 1 less. All round nice. So we'll take that. Okay, Raging Worgen is nice. 3 for 3/3 is nice. It has an enrage effect, and basically is enrage while it's damaged. When it gets hurt, it gains new abilities. And this gains Wind Fury, which lets it attack twice each turn and +1 attack. So this will end up, in the best situation, a 4/2 that can attack twice every turn. It's very nice. This is similar. This Raging Worgen is strictly better, if you ask me, of course, than the Thrallmar Farseer. Although the Thrallmar Farseer is more reliable and dependent. However, we're going to take an Archmage, because at 6 mana it's not too costly. 4 attack is a nice large number, and 7 health is huge. And it's lovely and awkward. It does not trade easily. You're nearly always going to get 2 cards spent to get rid of this, because it's just awkward. And it has a spell damage. Oh dear. Okay, so I covered this, and why I'm not taking this. This, some people like, but for 4 mana, it's got 7 health, which is nice and awkward, but 1 attack. In my circle of friends, this is called the Enrage Triggerer. All it does is deals the minimal damage it can, and gives them enrage effects. Starfire I talked about earlier, and we're going to take that. Oh, these are nice cards. We've talked about Archmage, which we potentially might take. Worgen Infiltrator is a 1-cost, 2/1, and stealth. So it sits on the battlefield and waits. So it's pretty nice. However, 2 mana, I can deal 3 damage or 1 damage and draw a card. Lovely removal. A lot of nice early game things. I spend it, get a card, or later game deal small amounts of damage to it, taking Wrath. Priest of Valune we covered. Mad Bomber is 2 mana for a 3/2, which is pretty standard, but when it enters, it can deal 3 damage split random between all other characters. Now, the only problem is this requires mad amounts of praying to RN Jesus, Random Number Generator Jesus, because that between all other characters can include you. I have played this card, and it has dealt 3 damage to me in the face, which is not nice. However, Ironbeak Owl, 2 mana for a 2/1 is okay, but it silences a minion, and as you can see, that removes all the card tests and enchantments. Part of the reason I never took Questing Adventurer was because of this card. So we will take one of them. Raging Worgen I have discussed. Another reason I'm not taking Worgens is, although it's a brilliant card, I have no way of guaranteed triggering it. I have to rely on them being 1 damage. This card is exceptional in mage decks, because they can play it, ping it for 1, 4/2 with Wind Fury. It's amazing. River Crocolisk is okay. It's a 2-cost, 2/3. It doesn't always trade away. It's in that 2 bracket where things are normally 3/2 or 2/3s. Obviously, the big advantage is it's a beast, but that's for hunters, not for us. So we're going to take a second Archmage. Okay, so we'll go from this side. Young Dragonhawk is 1 mana for a 1/1 that can attack twice. I don't like it, simply because it's so easy to kill. Now, a Bluegill Warrior is okay. 2 mana for a 2/1 charge. It's basically like a 2 mana, 2 damage spell. That's what it might as well be. It doesn't normally last very long. Mark of the Wild, however, 2 mana, and give minion taunt and +2/+2. So, yeah, that's just very efficient. Ooh. Now, this is a hard choice, because Grimscale Oracle is not happening. We don't have any Murlocs. I don't think. No, we don't have any Murlocs. Yeah. So we're not taking this, because it's a tribal card and we don't have it. Savage Roar is really nice, because it gives your characters, so including you and all your creatures you have out, +2 attack for this turn. So it's a really good game finisher. However, Druid of the Claw is a 5 mana, 4/4. And when it comes into play, and this is the big thing, this is what I like about Druids, they have so much flexibility. You either give it charge, so it's a 4/4 that charges straight at them, or +2 health and taunt, so it's a 4/6 for taunt, which is what I normally play it as, for 5 mana. That's really efficient, really strong, and a big roadblock for people to deal with. Oh dear, RN Jesus, we pray to thee. We shall not be praying to thee today, however. Cult Master is pretty good. It's a 4/2 for 4, which the health is incredibly low. And when another minion that we control dies, we draw a card. Brilliant for card draw, but at the minute I don't have enough taunt that I'd like to protect it. However, Ogre Magi, more spell damage. So we've got a lot of spell damage so far, and I like it. Naturalize is near enough universally not taken unless you're doing a Druid mill deck. Mill, by the way, is a terminology used by Magic the Gathering players such as myself for overdrawing your opponent and forcing them to discard cards. Naturalize is 1 mana, destroys a minion, but they get 2 cards. You're basically giving them 2 extra ways to kill you. Shattered Sun Cleric is 3 mana for a 3/3, and it gives a friendly minion +1/+1 when it comes in, and that's permanently. Very strong. Savage Roar we've discussed. I think I might take the... Oh, dear me. I think I'm going to take the Shattered Sun Cleric so that we have a little more punch in terms of creatures. We don't have a great deal of creatures. Well, we do have a lot of creatures, but you know. Oh, this is not a great pick. See, this Savagery, as we discussed earlier, would be perfect with with claws and charges, which I've been ignoring. So I'm just an idiot. Mana Addict we've discussed. Savagery we've discussed. Injured Maid Master comes in and hurts himself for 4 damage. So he becomes a 4/3 for 3. Now, he's better in things like Priest decks, Shaman decks, where you can heal him up. We don't have much heal, so we're going to go over Savagery on the off chance that we can remove things with it. Oh dear. So, Wolf Rider's a 3/1 with charge for 3. Kind of similar to the Blue Girl Warrior, doesn't stay around. Basically, I personally see it just as a removal spell. So in this case, it would just be better to choose Wrath, because it's 3 damage. 1. Raid Leader is beautiful. 3 mana for a 2/2, slightly overcosted, but then it has the brilliant ability that gives it all other minions I control +1 attack. I'm going to go for a Wrath because I really like having direct damage removal. This 1 mana for a 1/1 charge doesn't really do anything. It can help. There are of course situations where any of these cards can help. However, I don't like it very much, so we'll be leaving that. Mark of the Wild, again, we took one earlier because it's really powerful to be able to give something +2/+2 and taunt, so we might be taking that. And Wrath. Again, Wrath. We've got 2. I am tempted, I won't lie, to take a 3rd. Just because if you could just keep throwing them out for 3 damage for 2 mana, it's so acceptable. You know, I'm going to take it, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Now, we have discussed this. This I probably will take. Oasis Snapjaw, I'm not a big fan of. 4 mana for a 2/7. It's the same as the Mogashan Warden, except it doesn't have taunt. It just doesn't do a lot. Ironbark Protector, we don't have a lot of late game, actually, like damage-wise. This might be something to take care of. An 8 mana, 8/8 with taunt. So it trades very well, it's very strong. But my problem is it normally always gets killed instantly. It gets polymorphed, it gets fireballed, it gets hit with some weapons, it gets hit for 1 damage and then executed by warriors. It gets mind controlled by priests. Right now, I'm going to take a Soul of the Forest. Well, Grimscale Oracle and discussed. Wrath. Jungle Panther is probably the smarter choice because it's a 4/2 that sits in stealth, so they have to spend AoE on it. However, I'm insane, so 4th Wrath it is. Not gonna lie, kids, hoping for the 5th Wrath. Frostwolf Warlord we have discussed. Abusive Sergeant is really nice because it, for 1 mana, it's a 2/1 that gives +2 attack this turn. But then Claw gives your hero +2 attack and +2 armor. So the attack, however, is not does not last. The armor does last. Armor is essentially extra health for those who don't know. And the fact that we have a Savagery, I'm gonna. We don't have a lot of lower cost creatures. We have a few. Maybe the Warlord. Okay, we'll take the Warlord. And we will take a second Warlord. Sorry, I didn't explain why the last one. The damage, the Harvest Column is brilliant. 2/3 that when it dies summons a 2/1. But I would like some extra. It's a nice creature, is Frostwolf Warlord. Now, as we discussed earlier, the 4 health is a little bit low. Just for 5 mana, 5/4 is okay. The taunt is nice, but it tends to die very quickly. Ancient Brewmaster is a 5/4 again, but for 4 mana, and it returns a creature to your hand. This is brilliant with creatures such as Dark Iron Dwarf, Shattered Sun Cleric, anything that Azure Drake, anything that has a enter the battlefield effect. Perfect for. However, Chillwind Yeti is one of my favourite creatures. Let me grab it on that. Oh my god. 3 more cards. Now, I will tell you straight up, we will be taking the Mark of the Wild here. Power of the Wild, sorry. Because this has 1 health. It seems good. 3 cost. Oh yeah, I get a 5/1. Yay, Billy! No, bad. Billy dies. Billy the Rager dies instantly. Instantly. Against mages, this card is worthless. Less than worthless. Now, Core Hound. If you balance its stats, it becomes a 7/7 for 7. It's nice. However, you're not balancing its stats. It's not a War Golem. It's a Core Hound. It's 9/5. And as I have discussed, 5 is just too easy to kill. Beast, good for hunters. Well, better for hunters. Power of the Wild, we have talked about earlier. We will be taking that. 2 more cards. This is a no. 2, 3 for 2 is okay. And when it enters, it gains attack equal to the attack of your weapon. Beautiful in things like rogues and warriors. For us, less than useful. Raid Leader's really nice again. All of these cards are okay. I'm going to go for a Starfight. I've got to be honest, it's looking like we're doing a bit of a spell damage deck. We've got a lot of spell damage, we've got a lot of spells. I hate this card. 2 mana for a 4/5 is fabulous, but it can't attack. So you either have to give it Taunt or Silence it. So no, not from me. Keeper of the Grove. Brilliant card. Look at the versatility. It's a 4-cost 2/4, so it's slightly low on the attack, but it deals 2 damage or silences a minion. Brilliant utility. And the Azure Drake we've discussed. You know what? I'm going to go with the Azure Drake. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. My spell power, soon to be bad, soon to be destroyed Druid deck. This is Dark Paladin 111 telling you to stay beautiful, and I will see you guys later.